The Short Life of a Seahorse by Alexis Loghman. I had just gotten back home from New York to visit my family in New Zealand for Christmas. It was a beautiful day. The sky was blue with a few fluffy clouds, and I could hear the ocean break against the cliffs nearby my parents' house. Back then, when I had still been living with my parents, I had loved to swim in the ocean. I loved the feeling of the water on my skin, the feeling of being free and light. But then I had met Christian. Christian was the love of my life, the best and warm-hearted man I had ever had the luck to walk by. We had met at the supermarket a few miles away from my parents' house. He quickly struck my interest when he held the door open for me. Such a gentleman. We had gotten to know each other, and it turned out he lived in New York. I had been head over heels for this man, so after a few months of suffering under the long distance of our relationship, I decided to move to New York. It had been great, but I missed the ocean. Sure, New York had water, but it just wasn't the same as my Pacific Ocean back home. By now it had been years since I had moved away from New Zealand, and it had been years since I had gone swimming the last time. That led me to putting on my swimsuit, and finally, after all this time, dive back into my loved water. Oh, how good this felt, the jelly feeling and the softness. I closed my eyes and just enjoyed being here. Finally, actually being back home. It was then that I decided to dive under the water to admire the reefs I knew so well. But when I finally did open my eyes, and I finally got used to the salty water again, my breath hitched from shock, and I immediately had to break the surface again. I was shocked. I still am. What I saw was not the reef I had left behind. The corals were dead, almost all of them. What once had been beautiful and colorful and happy, a place I could get rid of all my bad thoughts at, was now gray and lifeless. All I saw was garbage. Plastic everywhere you took a look. The only sad life that swam by was a little seahorse. When usually those creatures were cute and would make everyone smile, this really was sad. I could feel tears well up in my eyes when I saw the tiny seahorse swim around and desperately search for its family. You could see the panic in this little buddy's eyes. It went everywhere it could, trying to find them, and when after all the search it was still alone, it took hold of a cotton swab, thinking it was its family, or just to not feel alone within all the death and dead plastic. The Short Life of a Seahorse by Alexis Loghman.